All right, so I'm studying propaganda, right? Um, and I want to show the different kinds of propaganda that this representative is using in this press conference, whatever this is. First, you see clearly this nonsense in the background. Share their stories. Murdered by an illegal alien, Laken Riley. So, I'm not really in the right-wing media ecosystem, right? But I know who she is, and I know that there was a tragedy involving her. She was murdered, and that's a tragedy. But remember, her own father came out and said the following: I'd rather her not be such a political, how you say it. It started a storm in our country, and it's incited a lot of people. This is the father of the slain woman. Are these people shameless? I think they are. But what is the propaganda techniques being used here? Well, one, I know who she is because she's mentioned in the right-wing media ecosystem over and over and over again. And that is a propaganda technique known as agenda setting. You say something over and over and over again, and you ascribe, let's say, significance to it. In this case, significance to the fact that she was murdered by an illegal immigrant. There are many, many people murdered across the United States every single day. But this murder, I know quite a bit about because of the agenda setting of the right-wing media.
Last week, videos of protesters yelling at members of Congress went viral, right? But the content focused on the confrontation, not the why. Some of the people that hijacked those town halls are happy with the bloated status quo. They want the bloated status quo to continue. They don't want to get our country back on track. And to make matters worse, even the DNC chair openly suggested that the outrage at the town halls across the country was orchestrated. But here's the truth. Getting us out of nearly $37 trillion in debt, it's not going to be easy. President Trump and the White House Republicans have started the conversation on wasteful government spending. And 77 million voices outweighed those voices at the town halls. We got our marching orders. We listened to the American people, and they told us they wanted change. And buckle up, because that's exactly what we're giving them. And our friends on the other side of the aisle, please keep going down the path of defending and even advocating for government waste, fraud, and abuse.
Waste, fraud, and abuse. Why do I hear this catchy tune, catchy phrase over and over again from politicos, from randos online? They've received their marching orders, and the right wing is marching. I got to admit, they're good at it. They wait for their leaders to tell them what to think, and they think it. You have to catch them before that, when they're putzing around. That's always a bit more interesting. And then over and over again, it converges. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse. It's truly remarkable. This is another example of agenda setting. During the campaign, I thought it was egg prices that were the biggest issue facing America, but I guess not. I guess the biggest issue is waste, fraud, and abuse. Why? Because it's mentioned over and over again during this news cycle. This news cycle has continued for weeks now, and they got their orders.
The message they all are sending is clear, and we see whose side they're on. Look no further than their newest messaging strategy. The minority leader unveiled it last week. It's called Share Your Story. Can you guess whose story they're sharing? It's government employees, like a locksmith from Yosemite National Park. Not the stories of lives lost due to illegal.
I mean, of course, this is ridiculous, right? This is an example of the propaganda technique of whataboutism. What about? All these federal workers are losing their jobs. A locksmith in Yosemite National Park. Do you think he was making six figures? So she is directly contradicting what she said earlier about this all being about overpaid bureaucrats losing their jobs. But now she's referencing a sob story about a locksmith who lost his job in Yosemite National Park. But she thinks this story should not be told. What about? Because what about this murdered woman, Lakeland Riley? She's really, this dead woman is doing a lot of work, and I mean no disrespect. It is them who is being disrespectful. As her father specifically requested that his daughter's memory stop being used for political purposes.
Immigration, they're not asking to share those stories, not the stories of innocent lives that were lost due to fentanyl that came from across the border, not the stories of hardworking Americans struggling to make ends meet.
But I don't understand. Aren't these federal employees, aren't they hardworking Americans struggling to make ends meet? To them, they are not. That is the story that they want to tell. They want to make them other. They want to make them the enemy. One of the architects of Project 2025 specifically said they want to put federal workers into a state of trauma. There's no bottom to these people.
Democrats are sharing the stories of government employees, and this sad attempt of fear-mongering that makes Democrats look even more deranged. It is absolutely insane that they think making government work more efficiently is a bad thing. Remember that government efficiency is a constitutional crisis in the Democrats' minds. They continue to defend and advocate for waste, fraud, and abuse. They don't want it to stop.
There it is again. Waste, fraud, and abuse. I'll admit it's catchy.
Democrats are ignoring the American people and siding with the swamp.
Here it is again. They're trying to make federal workers other. Dehumanization. The swamp.
They keep defending DEI employees and USAID, while Republicans fight the bloated and inefficient bureaucracy. and we fight it for the American people. For years, we've heard about delays at the IRS, lost Social Security checks, mistreatment at the VA.
This is a propaganda technique known as paltering. Perhaps people complain about delays at the IRS, etc. But what does that have to do with paring down the federal workforce to this degree and with all this chaos surrounding it? Nothing. It has nothing to do with it. If you pare down the federal workforce, then wouldn't you expect more delays at the IRS? That makes sense. In fact, this whole speech is an example of paltering. This whole speech is supposedly against the bloat of the federal bureaucracy. But that is not the issue that Democrats, that the people are taking with what Doge is doing. It is the manner in which it is being done. She does not mention this once. Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton both pared down the federal workforce immensely, not in this way.
Did the Democrats do anything about it? Did they set up a listening session to have people tell their stories? No. I think they only care about Washington and bloated bureaucracy in D.C. It is truly a shame, despite the American taxpayers' wishes. They're doubling down on the broken system, and they are the ones that broke it. While Democrats keep displaying their derangement, telling out-of-touch stories, let's talk about those who can't tell their stories.
Okay, so she's doing this again. Ridiculous. Another example of whataboutism. Whataboutism is really pretty much their favorite. Because the right wing has nothing.